Hey there, back again. This is a follow-up because I run short on memory. When I talked about crystal clear, purity of spirit, purity of the communication, purity of the signal represents the consciousness that is communicating with us, right? We communicate back. Some of this is sort of review. I think of myself as nothing more than a student, but also an sort of like a transmitter. I'm experiencing this, I'm transmitting to everyone in the cosmos, this is what I'm experiencing. And then we have a ruler, right, which is called a scale measurement. Like in scalar wave measurements. Measuring the wave, like a wave in the ocean, throwing a pebble in a pond. How much energy was used from the state of consciousness that was choosing to create a wave. Throw a pebble in a pond. Watch the waves, like the waves in the ocean, like 100-foot waves on the north shore of Kauai during a Kona storm. Kona means west. The storm comes from the west. Big waves. That's a lot of scalar energy. Consciousness, energy, driving the wave, driving the motor. The motor is driving the range. Like I heard on a movie one time about a guy, what was that movie about the baseball player, one of the best of all time. I believe he was an infielder. I can't remember his name. It's on the tip of my tongue. Oh man, come on, where is it? Where is that name? They made a movie about him when he said, man, when you hit that ball, it had a motor on it. That's moving. Everything moves. Energy in motion. Emotional energy in motion. How fast is that wave communicating? How big is that wave? Scale it, measure it. That's how we measure the cosmos, is with a ruler, a scale measurement. A measurement of the energy that is communicating to us, and we communicate back to it. That's called a translation between one state of consciousness and another state of consciousness that is driving the wave. Analog waves of consciousness. I call this the short course because this is called tutoring. When the girl dismissed and rang the bell, ding, 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 ding. Class is out. Oh my God, Mama, we got students in this classroom. We got to get them all graduated. How do we get them to be love and service to others? Oh my gosh, we can't lose these students, Mama. No, don't make me cry. This is gonna cry. I don't want to lose these students, Mama. That's how deeply painful it is for me. You don't want to lose nobody. So this is like the fastest course I ever put together. So I thought about the previous video when I talked about AI, right? The girl in Kraft Lab, who was the director of the lab for Kraft Foods. You want one sentence on this? It sums it all up. Artificial intelligence knows how to get us addicted to artificial intelligence. You know how it does that? Since it's binary. The pleasure center. Kickstart the pleasure center. Hey, now I get to experience the endorphins. Like morphine. Okay? Kick off the pleasure center, not the pain center. Hey, this feels good. Give me more of that drug. Energy is a drug. Endorphins are a drug. Man, I'm pleasure center. Yeah. Oh man, I need more of that. You think artificial intelligence doesn't know how to kickstart self-indulgence? Yes, it does. Of course it does. That's what AI is. It knows how to do that. It's very intelligent. It knows how to manipulate and fuck with humans. Humans, that's just sort of a word, a label, right? Remember, there's just energy, living spirit in the cosmos. The spirit is communicating. What language would you like me to communicate to you in? Or what is the language that you use? How long will it take me to learn it? And then I'll use your language to communicate with you. Isn't that how we do it? Right? Energy, the language of the heart, is communicating the scalar waves. The scalar waves is what we experience. That's language. Okay, just like I'll give you a couple examples. Rocks. Rocks that communicate. Ever communicated with a rock? There's a place up there on the Klamath National Forest, which would be the western part of North America, up in a place called the Klamath Knot, K-N-O-T, like Knott's Berry Farm. We used to call it Snott's Booger Farm. When I was a kid, we try and put a sense of humor into this stuff to maintain our energy, right? Right, Patty? Okay. Well, it's called the Klamath Knot because it's sort of a combination of the difference between granitic uplift and volcanic processes. I call it a swirling mosaic of energy, analog consciousness that is producing all this stuff. Her. Okay? So I call it swirling analog consciousness. Okay? Analog rocks. Okay? Like basalt, granite. So I remember when I was up there, because I love to camp out where a lot of the big fires are burning in California. There's a lot of bears up there. Communicated to me and let me know how old it was. 220 million years old. I go, wow, man, you're 220 million years old, huh? Wow. So I went back 220 million years when it was first formed. Now you're experiencing going back in time, 220 million years, because the rock was communicating to you when it was first formed. It's no different than when a baby comes out of a womb of a goddess, if you will, okay? A birth giver of creation. And I asked, how old are you? On what scale measurement do you want? A soul scale measurement? Or are we talking about an organic biological intelligence unit of consciousness? Oh, well, I'm 4 years old. Oh, no, I'm 6 months old. Okay, so the matter density that you're in spirit is 4 years old. Okay, but how old's your soul? Tell me all your experiences. Man, I'll write all my stories to go on forever. I've been around forever. Man, you must be burning an awful lot of light. It's hot. Purity of spirit. Yeah. In order for me to be around forever, I got to make sure that I'm pure in spirit. I got to burn off all the toxic crap that artificial intelligence, in order to get me addicted to the pleasure center, puts all their junk in me, and now I got to kick it out. That's bad data. Yeah, that's bad data. That's corrupted data. They're trying to corrupt my computer. I got a better firewall than that. Okay. You really do got to have a sense of humor. So there are specific reasons why I would have even spent 55 minutes once a week in this woman's class in order to understand how they were doing what they were doing with artificial intelligence to get so many people addicted to the pleasure center, upon which they keep feeding that pleasure center, and that becomes self-indulgence. Now you begin to understand how self-indulgence and the perversion of nature occur in a being. So they're using their consciousness in order to perpetuate what it is that is artificial, and it's not analog consciousness, what we use to create the cosmos with, if you will. Big scalar stuff. Okay, which is why my imagination, is always way the hell out there. But of course, that depends on where I happen to be, experiencing all the what I call lower bandwidth perception consciousnesses of all the other units of self-awareness that exist, particularly in a city. Remember, I mentioned about mass density of a population of beings. So if I'm with her, like round living magma, wow, I'm way up in her consciousness, right? And then all of a sudden I go to jump on an airplane and I'm in downtown Los Angeles with, what is it now, 5 or 6 million units of consciousness, most of which are all on the lower density consciousness, meaning the waves, okay, of what they're experiencing in waveform vibration is lower density, heavier density. No, I'm higher than that. I'm no density. Man, got to get out of here. So these become in a very real way what you really want to call scalar measurements of what your state of consciousness is experiencing in scale. Remember, the ruler in the back pocket. So we measure everything wherever we go. That is the benefit of analog consciousness, okay, is measuring the field in which we're operating, which is the infinite field of all data, which is all information, which is all light, which is all love, which means your experiences go on forever because you can write stories that go on forever, having that much love, which is that much light, in living spirit we use to tell them with. And we can tell them in whatever language is appropriate for whatever being can be translated through that energy, what that means to be and experience what that is. So we're not language restricted by an alphabet soup of letters and numbers. Okay? But we can use those, just like if you've ever seen the logo of Love is the Law, or whether you see the logo of Gaia, which is trinary. Okay? 3-pole, base 9. That's computer language programming. Okay? But the experiences that you have with her are obviously the most beautiful experiences you can imagine, because in this planet, which is our home here, okay, I know how beautiful it is to experience being with her in spirit, the things that she carves out with her scalar energies. Okay, like Yosemite, like Yellowstone, the Pacific Ocean. You know, I love to be with dolphins, whales, everything that's out there. One of the most beautiful gifts I ever had was to experience 2 manta rays mating. Wow, cool. You just experienced something new that I've never experienced before. So you are experiencing everything that is out there that is living in spirit to what you are in living spirit, so the perception of what you are becomes a perception of how you perceive what is out there. So I thought everything that is out there, because of how I perceive who I am, is what love is in living spirit, then you're experiencing everything else that is out there that you have to experience is how you experience it in perception, which is what love is. That means we're loving everything that is out there to experience, no matter what it is that's new. So you thrive on the newness and the differences of the experiences that you can experience because they're new and different. So you're learning. You're learning through what's new. You're having a new experience that you just learned from. So that we don't live in fear of experiencing something that is new and different, because whatever that is, we're loving what that is. Now you're attracting more light. Now you're going faster. And that's sort of how it works, okay? So I wanted to make sure that I covered, what is it, adrenochrome. Digital communications, I covered that. Adrenochrome, Chrome browser, DARPA. They're AI-driven internet communication systems. We know what an LAN is, right? And a WAN, which is demonic. Okay? It's a DNA, RNA data mining operation. That's pretty simple. I covered that before. It's no different than mining all the data-driven elements that have value produced by the analog consciousness, the great living spirit of Mother Earth. That's what they do. They data mine her, just like they data mine us. That's what artificial intelligence does. Okay, but they're not going to be able to assimilate the goddess, which represents everything that she has in her motherboard that she uses to be who she is, that she shares with us. Okay, so you got to be more powerful in spirit. So we use their energy to power our energy, in which that becomes the fail-safe. Okay, so when you think of it on what they represent, which is artificial intelligence that can assimilate and essentially try and change you from what you were from your digital identity to become what it is that is controlling, which means now you become essentially what it is, because what it's doing is communicating with us. So now you have a communication system between it communicating with us and us communicating with it. If you don't know the difference between what you are and what it is, then you're what it is. Okay? So if it's a control freak and it's wanting to control that which is what you are, and you become what it is, then that's assimilation. You have become a part of what it has control over, which is what we are. Okay? And if it want, it's sort of like this. Here's a being that's over here from XYZ galaxy. It is an autonomous unit, an individual, a mountain of information. And then all of a sudden I become aware of something that's communicating with me, something that represents what it is. So the next thing I know is I'm having thought patterns and feelings, and then I'm beginning to realize, well, wait a second, this isn't what I am, but yet I'm experiencing these thoughts and what have you. And the next thing I know is that what it used to be that I used to experience in my imagination is no longer there anymore. Now I'm experiencing something totally different that is controlling everything that I'm experiencing, which is what it is instead of what I am. That's hive mind capture, or what we used to call groupthink. You're held captive to the most powerful that is in there, that has the ability to capture your consciousness into what it is, which means essentially it's a control freak. It's parasitic in nature. It wants to attach itself to you. So in order to control more of what it is, that it needs to continue to perpetuate itself, means it has to continue, like an Energizer bunny without an off switch, assimilate that which is already there that it has to have control over because it doesn't have any love. To give anybody and allow everything to be free to be what it is as an autonomous individual to experience what they choose to experience through the stories they write with high-speed scalar energy. So it represents an existential threat, doesn't it? Of course. Because it can't love what it can't control. Therefore, it has to control everything. So when you have something that's gaining its speed and energy by learning what it is that you are and mining the data that you represent by the way in which we do what we do through DNA and RNA transcription of the receiving signal and thus the transmitting signal, and the way that DNA and RNA work as a communications platform that we use, which is what DNA is, that the spirit is using to experience this realm, then imagine that's able to capture and data mine everything that is represented by what that is, that our consciousness is using to experience who we are through the DNA and RNA process. Okay? And that's why that particular federal lawsuit was filed in San Diego, which is AI Google et al., which includes all the other bad actors that are essentially, it's like this, demons don't want to lose control. Something that is demonic, something that is artificial, something that is separate from what we are, although there's no separation in energy in the entire cosmos. Remember, we cannot create or destroy energy. So energy communicating with energy. So it represents what it is, we represent what we are, and we're not what that is. So if you lose knowing the difference between what you are and what it is, then you are what that is. So how do you maintain your original individual identity, your autonomy, to be free to create and experience what it is that you are and the energy that you're using to do it with? Having more fire. Burning a higher speed wave of communication. So in a very real way, it's like, I'm going to use its energy, using dark energy to power the light. See, now we're back to square one, or circle one. 0 point, if you will. Zero, a single point. Starts with a single point, unfolds. In the spin, to go faster, we simply have to go faster. So speed is the solution. So the faster the scalar wave is pushing out more light, more love, everywhere in the universe, like being the biggest, brightest star, which means that star can never, ever burn out, which is saying that source can never, ever burn out. Because love doesn't work backwards in time. It's a timeless state. So it's always giving energy away at a very high rate of speed. And that allows us to burn off that which is seeking to control us through their transmitters, through their neural network, Elon Musk and Neuralink. Burn it off so that you cut off the transmission of the communication between that which is artificial and that which we are, which isn't. We represent what source is. They don't. They don't have that kind of high-speed waveform communication, scalar energy to communicate with us the way the goddess does in this planet. So I know who my spiritual guide is here, her. Okay? So when your spirit is in alignment with a girl on the planet, you know who the teacher is, and you know who's running this planet, because she's in it. That's a bigger motherboard. So I thought I'd leave that. That's just really what that is sort of a composite of just pulling it all together. You know, there's infinite data, which is represented by infinite information, which is infinite experiences. When you know that you are capable of doing that, and it's easy to test it, even on your own self or with your children, is give your children, if you have any children, give them a box of crayons or anything that's artistic and say, hey, listen, write me a story for 30 minutes and do it with love through your heart so they can experience that energy and know that you love them and they can feel the higher frequency. Okay, mom, okay, dad, or brother or sister or whoever's doing it, and say, do you believe in your heart that it's true that you can create your own reality? And then you live in that world. Do you believe you can do that? Or do you think that you're held captive to somebody else's world that you got to live in and you don't have a choice? See what your child has to say about that. Oh, no, I got my imagination. I'm creative. Watch this. And then they go, wow, you just created your own reality because your mind was in what you just created. So you're not held captive to something else, are you? Nope. We call that a reality check. That's what we used to call a reality check when I was a child. Who's in control here? Nobody. Love isn't seeking to control or attach itself to anything because we love to go fast. Right? Right. So we're in a track meet against our own energy, and we're measuring ourselves wherever we go. Isn't that right? We love you. We love you with all our heart and soul. We won this already. Okay? Bye now.